If I say luxury, what comes to your mind? I'm not talking about time. I'm talking about true luxury. So what is it? Is it a jewel? Is it a designer bag, shoes? Maybe a fancy yacht like this one? Well, fair enough. These are all symbols that we would normally associate with the idea of luxury. The true essence of a luxury good is given by the exclusivity, the scarcity of the availability of this good. But there are a number of aspects that these days are concurring to define the value of a luxury product. Among these, sustainability, the fact that building this product, or maybe just buying this product, we can contribute to the environmental discourse. I'm an architect. I design and I build with purpose, and I am particularly interested in everything that can define an exclusive aspect and value. I have been working in a number of projects in the last 25 years as a director of Zaha Hadid Architects, looking at how sustainable design can deliver exclusive solutions. And in this experience of the last years, I came across a number of many different opportunities to look at sustainable solutions. But one of these projects has been striking to me because it forced me to rethink the definition of what I consider to be exclusive. This is the Navi Mumbai International Airport. It is a complex that is aiming at providing transportation service for about 90 million passengers per year. And it's an airport that was commissioned and operated by a family of entrepreneurs. So differently from any other public project I've been working so far, for this project in particular, we were dealing with the family, with the commissioner, and we would deal with the managing director and his wife. And we would spend the time together with them in their villa in Hyderabad or in Mumbai. And we would discuss colors, we would discuss transparency, we would discuss any aspect that is architectural. Basically, they were expecting us to design this airport as something luxurious, as it was a jewel or as it was the extension to their own villa. But it wasn't for them we were meant to design this building. This was meant to be the legacy of the family to the country, to the people. It was meant to be something that the community could sustainably maintain in the future. Now, what is sustainability in architecture? Is it something we can really achieve? Now, as architects, we would normally measure the sustainability of a project along three different vectors. The first one, the most important, is the resilience. It is about how a building can survive the transformation in time of its needs and still being usable. Now, think about when Michelangelo was called to rethink the use of what was left of the Terme di Diocleziano in Rome, and he came with this concept of using a part of the Tepidarium to create what is now Santa Maria degli Angeli. This is my favorite church in Rome. When I visited the church the first time, I didn't know that it was built on the remaining of the Terma, and I was surprised by the unusual proportion of the alley and the transetto. I was astonished about how generous the plan of the church it was, how many openings and how much light was coming through the roof. What a beautiful reinterpretation of the concept of the basilica. But is this a real example of resilience? Well, you might say, maybe not. Maybe the Roman architects actually didn't think of reusing its own building into something else. And this is, in fact, the main point. To be truly resilient and sustainable, any building should be capable of planning ahead a possible different use in the future. And this is not easy at all. Now, there's another way we can measure the sustainability of the building, which is the amount of carbon that is necessary to produce the energy to operate it. This is the Arabian Desert. This is the worst place ever if you intend to build something sustainable. You want to stay away from this latitude. Now, Riyadh is looking ahead and is planning to create a new infrastructure for metro transportation in less than 12 years. We had the great honor to design the iconic station of the financial district, the symbol of the overall infrastructure project. And looking at reducing the amount of carbon that we will use to operate it, well, easy enough. We took inspiration from Middle Eastern traditional architecture. We combined it with Mediterranean vernacular architecture. We kept the building away from the sun. We created shadow. We created small openings, but still capable of bringing in enough natural light. So there's a lot we can do in this aspect. But what about the embodied carbon? What about the carbon that is necessary in the production, that is released in the production of the materials for the construction and the construction itself? This is another building we designed for the Italian high-speed network. It's the station of Naples Afragola. So imagine now that you are the architects of this building, and you have designed it in such a way that is a bridge over the railway track. Because in this way, you can take advantage and freely orientate the main body of the building in such a way that is protected from the south and is offering the best side on the north for the glazed facades, is sheltering all the administration offices underneath its belly, and you want the main passenger center to be this large public plaza, which is inundated with natural, green, totally free light. So imagine now you are about to complete the building, and there's a delegation from the government, the Prime Minister, Ministry of Infrastructure are coming for the opening, and they might want to anticipate over 2-3 months the opening. And this has been set for the beginning of July at noon. Now, what is your worst nightmare? I'll tell you what mine was. The building is not completed. You can see there are holes here and there. And the whole air conditioning system has not been installed yet at all. So now you have to rely on those bioclimatic passive measures of protection from the environment that you have implemented at the beginning. And in particular to the natural ventilation, which is a great resource we have at this latitude, not in the desert. But it works perfectly. We were perfectly cool and fresh during all events. But again, what about the embodied carbon, the carbon produced to put together the construction? Now let's go back to the fancy yacht that some of you might have think of at the beginning. What is the most luxurious experience you would crave? How about having these boats fully propelled by a totally green electric engine with no issues of range and capacity? How about not having issues of discharging difficult material to recycle and have the freedom of full range? Well, is this even possible? Maybe in the future. About a year ago, we started collaborating with an Italian company that is aiming at providing an infrastructure for the distribution of green hydrogen to the maritime sector all over the Mediterranean. So we are designing the refueling station. We're taking inspiration from the Roman engineering. We're taking inspiration from the architecture of the Terme. And we came with the concept that would be suitable for Venice, as well as Portofino, as well for Marseille, and so on. We use a printable concrete so that we can choose a mix that is taking advantage of less expensive in terms of carbon embodied concrete. We can mix it with local colors to make it suitable for each location. And we can shape the blocks in such a way that they would assemble together without the needs of any structural steel reinforcement, exactly like the Roman engineers would have done. So the advantage is that at the end of the cycle of this building, we can crush it and we can reduce it in crumbles and reuse it for another mix of concrete, which is similar to the one we used at the beginning. So is that a viable solution to reduce embodied carbon? Yes, it is. But how? How inefficient and complicated. There's a lot of energy required. There's a lot of carbon which is released in the process. So how frustrating is this whole attempt of coming with sustainable solution? Think to the hydrogen. We need energy to separate the hydrogen from the water, then energy again to separate the electrons and produce more electricity. This is all very inefficient and exhausting. But what is the advantage of this? It feels like this whole process is a little bit like panning piles and piles of pebbles in a river looking for the gold. And this is important because we have to keep positive and we have to be engaged in the future to keep producing new and new ideas. And maybe we can go back to what we were saying at the beginning. The more scarce, the more rare is our progress, the more precious it is our achievement. And in these years of transition towards sustainable solution, these little steps ahead, they have the value of pure gold, of pure luxury. But, hold on. What about all the pebbles? What about all the rubbles that we left down at the river that we've been digging through in all this time? Well, this is not waste. This is actually the best byproduct of this whole process. This is a metaphor of the advancement of our knowledge. This is basically the metaphor for the progress. And within these ideas, there will be there will be the solution to those problems that we yet don't even know we will have, and those will be the big thing of tomorrow, provided that we keep being engaged and passionate and positive. Be brave.